Good afternoon, and we are grateful for those that have gathered to share our support of the Navy Hill Coliseum project. We are going to move quickly. Dr. Gordon is the pastor of this church, will bring a welcome. Dr. Pat Gould-Champ will speak on our behalf, and then we'll turn it over to the mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Gray. Good afternoon. Welcome here to Third Street Bethel AME Church. I'm Pastor Reuben J. Boyd Jr. Truly, it's a privilege to have you here, our illustrious mayor and those representing Navy Hill. And it's just good to have you all here. I think we all, as here, stand for, we're all in agreement with the mayor. And so it's good to have you here today. God bless you.
Good afternoon to everyone. As we've gathered today, we're gathering first of all to show our support for the Navy Hill Coliseum project. And in doing so, we want everyone to know that as those of us who have been assigned to care for the people who are in Richmond, those of us who are primarily pastors and ministers, that we have spent most of our lives making sure that the things that we involve them in and the things that we support are going to be for the betterment of more than just a few, but are for the betterment of our entire city and all of those who live and reside here. And so for me personally, I have lived in Richmond since 1952, and I came at that time, I was 6 years old. And even now, I'm sure that by many, I'm not considered to be a native. But even when I came in 1952, Richmond was a very much divided city. When we moved into our home on Church Hill at the time in 1952, when we moved in, looks very much like it does now. When I moved in, it was a mixed community. And very, very rapidly, it turned into an all-black community. And of course now, if you go to the same place where I grew up, the same house, the same block, and the 3100 block of Marshall Street, all around, it is a mixed community now. And so even as we have looked at this project, many of us who stand behind me, we have been in conversations about the growth. We have been in conversations about how to make Richmond that community that we would like to see, where everyone thrives and all persons are recognized, the needs of all persons are met. So we've been in discussions about this for most of us probably close to 40 years. And every time we get to a place where it appears as if we are going to move in a direction where this beloved community that Dr. King spoke of, or this community, Richmond, this thriving city that would invite people and not cause people to want to leave or not come and not stay, every time we get to a point where we may be moving in that direction, there's always some kind of hindrance, and the conversations always turn why we cannot do it. And our position today is that it's not about whether we can, we must do it. That we are at a place where the time for sitting and waiting for a better time, this is the better time right now. There are many, many questions that people have, and I want to say that we have considered all of those things. That we have considered what is going to happen to the corridors, persons that are living on the perimeters of the project. Those questions have been asked, and those questions have been answered. That they will not be neglected, that you will not drive through people whose needs are not met to get to a thriving city. But as the city thrives, so will the communities all around, the communities that I serve of Whitcomb and Creighton and Fairfield. We've also talked about jobs, not just for those who have professional skills, but for those that may be returning citizens, those that are now not even making minimum wage or barely being able to support their families, but through workforce development, that those programs are a part of this plan, that they go hand in hand with it. And so people will be trained to take the jobs that will be made available once the Coliseum and all of the things that go with the Coliseum and with building a thriving inner city, that they will be able to be a part of that. We know that this city belongs to persons who are homeless, and so we ask the questions, what will happen when we get the hub where we have a decent transportation center where everybody can come? But what will happen to persons that do not have homes and they are going to be living and wandering and moving about? Will there be space for everyone? And so all of these things have been taken into consideration, and we believe that this is the time for this to happen. Now, one of the major conversations that we may not want to accept or even raise to the surface is that whenever there's a project that is this huge and seemingly impossible, that you have to have visionary eyes to see, as we believe that our God is a God of what appears to be impossible. And so we know that this cannot be done without faith and without believing that what we cannot see, that God will bring it into clear focus. And even those answers that we don't have right now, that they will be answered along the way. And so it's a faith project as well. Faith for us, because we're trusting and believing what our leaders have said to us. And at some point that has to happen. Many times people, well, what about they are going to get? And let me just answer that about they are going to get. In this project, people are going to be blessed. And what our concern is that the blessing is not lopsided, that all of us be blessed. I am not concerned about people that already have getting more, because that's going to happen with or without this project. I am concerned that those who have nothing will have something, and those who are scrambling and struggling, that their struggle will not be so intense. We know that there are many things that are going to open up and questions that we don't even know to ask right now. But because there is a seat for us at the table, and that's why we're standing before you, the men and the women behind me, because we want to make sure that there's always a seat at the table, that the voice of the least, the left out, the voices of those that may have not been heard in the past, even our voices, that we will raise questions for those that will not get a chance to ask the questions. And right now, as a pastor, and for those of us who stand behind me, we are satisfied with what we have heard. And we believe that now we have to trust that as those answers have been given to us, as those promises, but we don't even take them as promises as such. We take them as people giving their word. And we're going to do what we have always done, is we're going to remind people, you gave your word about this. And so I love the idea that along the way there are going to be benchmarks. Along the way there are going to be ways for us to determine whether the jobs, whether the workforce development is being done, whether this is being considered, whether Fairfield, whether Wickham, whether Creighton, whether all of those places are being considered in every decision that is made. I love the fact that already there are so many partners. In all of the 30, 40 years of conversation, I have not seen this many people coming together from so many diverse groups with one mindset to make Richmond truly the city that it was created to be. Not a city that is going to remain a city that does nothing but worship statues and worship dead, quote, heroes, but a city that is ready to move beyond the dead and to really move among the living and allow people to live and to have not just life for now, but life eternal. And so we're excited, we are very excited, and we are hopeful, but more than being hopeful, we are believing and trusting that everything that hands have been put to do, that it shall be accomplished by the power and the will of our God.
Dr. Guchem, I feel like I just, I was in church on Sunday. But yes, first I want to begin by thanking Dr. Boyd for allowing us to use your video, use your church as an opportunity for us to talk about Navy Hill. And also I want to thank all the ministers who are in attendance. We're also joined by Councilman Mike Jones, who is here with us this afternoon as well. I want to begin by saying, I'm going to use some words that Dr. Guchem stated, and that was, what I heard from her was faith versus fear.
All right. Good.
Faith versus fear. And I've stated in private settings and in public settings that fear has paralyzed this city. Fear has paralyzed Richmond for generations. And in order to actually realize our potential, the potential that we talk about regularly, not just during election cycles, we talk about how much potential that Virginia's capital city truly has. In order to realize that potential, you have to have a little faith. You have to have a little faith that those who have been charged to do so get the best out of everything we have. And I've been lucky enough, and I appreciate the support here today, but I feel like your administration has worked diligently over the last couple of years to get the best possible package to provide the uplift necessary for all of our people. Now, I'll tell folks this as well. This is more than just about economic development. This is more than just about economic growth. This is about social growth for our people. For our people. That is why in this project you see a $300 million commitment to minority businesses, for black and brown businesses. Not just construction, but up and down the supply chain. So folks who want to start their own business can start their own business right there in Navy Hill. You see a commitment to job training and also hiring local people here in the city, particularly those who have been forgotten after serving time within the criminal justice system. You also see a commitment to affordable housing in this project, which I'm very proud of. The most intentional effort by the city in affordable housing in generations. So if you graduate from a college here locally, you can live in Navy Hill. If you have a GED, you can live in Navy Hill. If you have a PhD, you can live in Navy Hill. Outside of that as well, I look at the CoStar announcement last week, which to me I think is a game changer. That a local established business in town, a Fortune 100, a NASDAQ 100 company with the willingness to hire 2,000 individuals over time in Navy Hill, in Richmond, Virginia, not in Nashville, not in Charlotte, but in Richmond, shows you that this is an attractive place to be. Dr. Guchem, you hit on the fact that this is not the same city it was in 1950. Not the same city it was in 1980. It wasn't the same city it was 10 years ago. In order for us to be the city that I know we can be, and that's competitive, not just here in Virginia, but on the East Coast and in this country, we have to be bold. I'm not asking for us to be rash or reckless, but we have to be bold. In order to go into the next decade, we have to ask ourselves, are we going to be bold, or are we going to continue to be the keepers of the status quo? And today, I am grateful for the support of those in our faith community that we can go boldly into that next decade. Not just for us who stand here before you today, but also for our children as well. How do we go about closing those income inequality gaps in this city between the have and the have-nots? You do that with intentionality. And that's what Navy Hill brings to the fore. So I'm grateful, Dr. Gray, for your work in convening all those who are here with us today. If it wasn't for your help and your efforts, we would not be here today. And here's the thing I want to state as well, because I know there'll be some questions. This isn't our first meeting. There has been multiple meetings over the course of time for the last 6, 7, 8 months. And the hard questions were asked. How are we going to go about financing this project? Who is going to be involved in this project? How can we ensure that everyone gets a piece of the pie? Because they've seen in projects past, that was not the case. So they today have endorsed the intentionality behind Navy Hill. And as you stated, Dr. Gucciam, you have my commitment to see it through its fullest potential. So thank you all for being with us this afternoon. And I assume we'll take some questions. No questions?
I guess I ask one.
Okay. You were the press club?
Where is a community benefit agreement? Is there one?
Well, we have a lot of community benefits within the project, right? And if the city council sees fit that they want to improve upon the current project that's before them within the ordinances and also with the 1,000-page development agreement, I think this administration and also Navy Hill District Corporation will be fully open to that. But it's going to take, as I told some of my friends on city council the other day, the ball is in your court. What we request is, number one, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah. And number two, approve upon, perfect upon what is before you. Don't ignore it. In order for us this project to improve, we're going to have to hear them verbalize and articulate what they want to see improved. We have a willing partner in the Navy Hill District Corporation to want to come to the table to improve on. So they've even heard from those with us today on how we go about improving. And so it's my hope that the city council follows through on their duty to improve the project. But I can also add the fact that we have listened to the concerns of those in our community about the size of the tax incremental financing district, the worry about the burden it has on the general fund as well. And that's why I am supportive of HB 1345, which is Jeff Bourne's bill, that reduces the tax increment financing area from 80 blocks to 11 blocks.
Okay.
And also reduces the risk to the general fund.
Reverend Goulchamp, you had spoken of adjacent neighborhoods and what you hope will be the benefits. Are you concerned about this project exacerbating the gentrification and displacement of those communities as has happened throughout Richmond?
Well, I think that that ship has sailed, and that it's already, the gentrification is already there, and it's not going to decrease with or without this project. It's not going to decrease. It's going to, because the city is, whereas sometimes we don't see the value of something, others see it before we can even begin to realize how valuable it is. And so others already see the value of coming into Church Hill because I can cycle to my job, I can walk across the Martin Luther King Bridge to my job, I can do all these things. And so that's not going to change. And that's why for me and for most of us, it's not an either or, it's an and both. That I am not trying to stop people from moving into Church Hill. I just want those who have lived there all of their lives to be blessed and benefited by this project. And so those are the questions that I asked initially when the plan was first revealed. And those questions have been answered for me satisfactorily, that the workforce, the job, homes, you know, finding affordable housing, making sure affordable housing, jobs, making sure even the transportation for persons to get to jobs that they do not have now, that those things would be met. And so I don't think that one works against the other, but I think that they all work together. And so I think that the project is addressing all of that. And certainly I think that even as we continue in conversation and dialogue, that we're going to even find some more options and some more ways that the benefit can be even greater.
Can I add to that, Michael Paul, real quick as well? Is, you know, I just got a briefing on housing from the housing framework, regional framework that was introduced last week. And I saw the areas of the city that the landowners and property owners do not accept vouchers. Where are those folks located? And there are a number of red dots saying no, are those who do not accept vouchers throughout properties north of the river, in neighborhoods like Jackson Ward, Scotts Addition, you name it. And also parts of South Richmond as well. This would be one of the only projects in north of the river that would be accepting of vouchers. That's the sort of intentionality behind this project, to ensure that those who do live in the Creightons and the Gilpins have an opportunity to live in Navy Hill as well.
Everybody good? Good? No, good.
I guess for both of you, but particularly for Reverend Bouchamp, since this is about ministers today. You've been here since 1952, as you say. I've been here since 1958. We've seen projects like Project One. It's not Richmond's first rodeo with a big, massive downtown redevelopment project. How is this one different? Why should this one be different in delivering the promises that the other ones didn't?
Yeah, you know, I think that one of the things that we always have to fight against, you know, pray, vote, resist. And sometimes we have to resist that temptation to be, you know, where you say, I've been here before. They say this, nothing's going to happen. And certainly because, I mean, and you know, for we were around the same age, we've probably seen about 4 major projects that have come. But at some point, as I said, I don't see any benefit from not moving and not allowing this project to happen. I have not heard anyone that has an alternative plan that is going to provide anything that is better than what this plan is proposing. You know, I hear a lot of what if, but all of us, if you know, none of us have or know what tomorrow holds. We know who holds tomorrow. And so that's why we have to begin to rely. And see, sometimes it's when you get to moments like this, it's like a crossroads for us. It's a crossroads for Richmond. Because Richmond is going to have to decide who it wants to be. And that means that you can't just wish it to happen. You have to make it happen. And so we're about making it happen and not talking about what it should be. Because we don't know what's going to happen until you begin to walk in the path. You know, I can't begin, look down the road and say, oh yeah, I may step in a ditch down there. Well, I don't know whether it's a ditch down there or not until I begin walking. And so this project, you know, my thing is, I don't know, but it's okay not to know. I believe. I believe. And so it is a faith venture. And like I said, along the way, we don't have to wait until the end to be able to raise questions and to be able to turn the ship if it needs to be turned, or to back up, or to do. We have moments when that can happen. And that's what we're saying. I would not be standing here representing a church and a faith community, Fairfield, Wickham, and Creighton. We were created as a church to serve. And so I understand what's going on in Creighton. I understand what's going on in Wickham and Fairfield. And I would not put my name or my heart behind anything that would injure those people. Because I am them and they are me. And so this is about me as well as about the people in Fairfield, Wickham, and Creighton.
And Michael Paul, you know, I guess I would sum it up with, you know, what Maya Angelou said, do the best you can till you know better, and once you know better, do better. And I think about this project compared to the projects past. And yes, there have been some swings and misses in the past, but we let that actually govern the way we went about creating this project. That's why you see more intentionality. That's why you see 1,000 pages of work done by this administration. This wasn't a handshake deal. This was the city doing its due diligence, being conscientious about the fact that this is a growing city that's focused on developing, that we gotta make sure that everybody's included in that growth.
Yes, ma'am. I'm a Richmond as well. I've seen projects through the years growing downtown. It was a big concern about parking. Folks coming in from the counties or wherever, the parking scenario. How is that going to be addressed with thousands of people coming in this area on the regular?
Yeah, we first, I think in the last 4 years, you've seen an investment of $65 million into the GRTC Pulse on Broad Street, right? Which right now is performing at double rate than what we thought it would be. Now 7,000 people are riding the Pulse on a daily basis. It's a $65 million effort from the city in partnership with Henrico County, the Commonwealth of Virginia, and the federal government. It's our hope that we will invest more in public transportation, that more people will do what they do in other cities. That is, you ride the bus downtown, enjoy downtown, then you ride the bus back out to the suburbs. That's why we're supportive of the transportation plan that is being supported by the region. That's one. Number two, we have a number of parking garages in downtown Richmond that go underutilized at nighttime. Because Richmond, once 5 o'clock hits, those who work in downtown Richmond, they jump on the highway and head out of town or head back into their neighborhoods in the city. So what we're going to do with this project is we're going to wrap those parking garages that are underutilized in the evening with new housing. That's what we've done with this project. What we've done is create new parcels by actually wrapping the residential part of this project around the current structures of parking. And there, the residents will be able to use the current parking garages we have downtown already, because they're going underutilized at night. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Could the clergy all introduce themselves and their affiliations?
Oh, that'd be great, yes. Start on the end here.
I'm Lawrence Jordan, Associate Minister at River Baptist Church in West End, Michigan.
Yvonne Jones-Gibbs, Pastor, Sixth Baptist Church.
I'm Reverend Philip Graves, an Associate Minister at Fifth Street Baptist Church.
Reuben Boyd, pastor of 3rd Street Bethel AME Church.
Dwayne Whitey, pastor of New King and International Church. Robert Winford, pastor of New Life Deliverance Tabernacle.
We're from Muhammad's Mosque 24, Minister Tracy. He just left. He's the minister of Muhammad's Mosque.
Pastor Ryan Steele, Gospel Baptist Church.
Jerome Rawls, Providence Park Baptist Church.
Rishon Graves, Wesleyan Baptist Church.
Harold Husband, Mount Olive Church.
Todd Gray, Fifth Street Baptist Church.
Melvin Sherry, Great Hope Baptist Church.
And there are a few of us that had to leave. I told them that we would be finished at 2:30.
Yeah, that's right. You
Pastor Goldchamp, what is your,
Oh, I'm sorry, Patricia Gould-Champ, Faith Community Baptist Church on Cool Lane.
the pastors will be available for interviews afterwards with the media. And with that, we will close out our press conference. Thank you everyone for coming up.
Thank you.